showing no bias for any organization, industry, or party. This is the NoBS World News.
Good day, Americans. Time now for news. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said today that before dawn this morning, a Russian attack, a drone, damaged the shelter surrounding the former Chernobyl nuclear power plant in northern Ukraine. The International Atomic Energy Agency confirmed the hit this afternoon. As of now, Zelensky reported radiation levels have not increased, but they are being monitored constantly. Chernobyl is the Soviet Union-era power plant destroyed in 1986 when a faulty nuclear reactor exploded. The U.S. Coast Guard cutter Wash offloaded 37,000 pounds of cocaine yesterday. The booty, drugs from Mexico and South America primarily, was confiscated from dozens of smuggling interceptions. This has been gathered since December and has an estimated street value of $275 million. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has rejected Louisiana's request to extradite a doctor from their state accused of prescribing and mailing abortion drugs to a teenager here. The Louisiana grand jury indicted Dr. Margaret Carpenter and her mail-order business, Nightingale Medical PC, last month. Louisiana prosecutors say a teen's mother purchased the medication from Dr. Carpenter and forced her teenage daughter to swallow the drugs. A new study is investigating whether GLP-1 injections like Ozempic and Wegovy may cause vision loss. JAMA Ophthalmology, a scientific journal, reports 7 patients participating in a study all developed a condition that can cause sudden blindness, while 2 others that participated in the study experienced retinal and optic nerve changes. The researchers involved say more testing is needed to confirm concerns, so the study is not recommending that patients stop getting the injections. In Chicago yesterday, Customs and Border Protection agents seized nearly 162,000 counterfeit U.S. Forever stamps. This at the International Mail Branch there. Forever stamps are special, non-denominated stamps that represent the current first-class postage price of a 1-ounce parcel. Now, they come in different commemorative varieties. However, the U.S. Postal Service says the stamp that is featuring the American flag is actually the one that is mostly counterfeited and warns consumers to simply be careful where they buy their postage stamps. Hamas has released the names of 3 Israeli hostages to be let go Saturday, in keeping with its ceasefire arrangement with Israel. According to Hamas, Sagai Bakel Chin, Yair Horn, and Alexandra Trofanov will return to Israel tomorrow afternoon. In a 72-28 vote yesterday, the Senate confirmed Brooke Rollins as President Trump's new Secretary of Agriculture. Well, the goal of restoring public trust in health, Louisiana has stopped promoting mass vaccines. According to state officials, they made the announcement today over social media. The directive was at the behest of Louisiana Surgeon General Ralph Abraham and Deputy Surgeon General Y. Coleman, who said the move was in response to vaccines required during the COVID-19 pandemic, what the state of Louisiana now calls one of the greatest missteps in medical history. Pope Francis entered the hospital today, and the Vatican says it has canceled all of his appearances for the next 3 days. The 88-year-old pontiff is being treated for bronchitis. Yesterday, President Donald Trump signed an order directing the Commerce Department to study reciprocal tariffs before installing them in coming weeks or perhaps months. If enacted, the policy will impose tariffs at the same rate that other nations impose on U.S. exports. So basically, we would be charging them what they charge us. At a Munich security conference this morning, though, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the European Union will respond negatively if the United States should impose such reciprocal tariffs. She said that over 70% of imports coming into the EU from America have zero tariffs. At the same conference, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance said migration is the biggest issue facing Europe right now, touching on the attack which happened there earlier this week, carried out by an asylum seeker from Afghanistan. Chinese-owned social media app TikTok is back in the news. It reappeared on Apple and Google's app stores this morning, 4 weeks after being removed in line with a bipartisan law banning the video sharing platform until it could be sold to an American company. We do not know at this time whether such a sale has taken place. China is recruiting for what it calls planetary defense units to protect Earth from an asteroid that could strike in 2032. Beijing's State Administration of Science, Technology, and Industry has job postings now. They're listing seeking graduates to study asteroid monitoring and design early warning systems. The move comes as the European Space Agency reported about a week ago there's a 2.4% probability of asteroid 2024 YR4 hitting Earth in the year 2032. In a letter sent to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Senator Richard Blumenthal demanded a response from the U.S. State Department after reports surfaced about $400 million worth of contracts for armored vehicles produced by Tesla. However, MSNBC reports that the contracts were not recent. They were prepared by the previous White House administration. Japan's government said today that it is releasing 210,000 tons of rice from its stockpile to stabilize the supply in the market and counteract rapidly rising rice prices. Rice prices were 64.5% higher in December than they were a year ago at this time. This is the sharpest increase, according to the Japanese, since 1971. Igloo recalled 1 million coolers made in the United States due to the potential of fingertip amputation or crushing. This according to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, who issued a recall notice early this morning. The BBC asked 4 top artificial intelligence platforms to summarize news stories. They pointed them to their website and said, hey, you have free reign, summarize what we have. The British public broadcaster found that more than 51% of the AI responses had factual errors and altered stories from the quotes, raising concerns about the potential harm caused by inaccuracies and distortions in AI-generated news summaries. Linda McMahon was grilled by the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions this week in her bid to lead the Department of Education. When Committee Chairman Bill Cassidy of Louisiana asked McMahon about the president's plans to eliminate the Department of Education, the former WWE Network CEO responded that she supported the president's mission to return education to the states. Late yesterday, U.S. District Judge Jamir Ali blocked the White House from stopping USA aid payments, at least those approved during the Biden administration. That block is in place for 90 days. According to the Department of Government Efficiency, the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, payments approved by the former president include, and I'll give you a list here, $7.9 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language. $20 million for a new Sesame Street show in Iraq. $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. $1.5 million for art for inclusion of people with disabilities. $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala. $6.5 million to transform digital spaces to reflect feminist democratic principles. $2.1 million to help the BBC value the diversity of Libyan society members. $10 million worth of U.S. aid-funded meals, which went to an Al-Qaeda-linked terror group. $25 million for Deloitte, a government contractor, to promote green transportation in the country of Georgia. $2.5 million to promote inclusion in Vietnam. $16.6 million for a separate inclusion project in Vietnam. $5 million to the EcoHealth Alliance, which is the NGO primarily known for funding the bat virus research at the Wuhan lab in China shortly before the outbreak of COVID-19. $1.1 million to Armenian LGBT groups. $1.2 million to help the African Methodist Episcopal Church Service and Development Agency. They were in Washington, D.C., and building a state-of-the-art 440-seat auditorium with taxpayer money. $1.5 million to promote LGBT advocacy in Jamaica. $2 million to promote LGBT equality through entrepreneurship. And this happened in Latin America. $500,000 to solve sectarian violence in Israel. Oh, that's good. But it happened 10 days before the Hamas October 7th attack. $2.3 million for artisanal and small-scale gold mining in the Amazon. $3.9 million for LGBT causes in the Western Balkans. $5.5 million for LGBT activism in Uganda. $6 million for advancing LGBT issues in priority countries around the world. $6.3 million for men who have intimate relationships with other men in South Africa. $8.3 million for U.S. aid education on equality and inclusion. I'm exhausted from that list. Proponents of USA aid say the funding of the organization is used to bring food, clean water, and medical supplies to war-torn countries and countries fraught with food insecurity and disease. Without funding, they say, some organizations are unable to deliver these life-saving services that they provide. I don't like to give my opinion, but I just want to insert, this is not an opinion, this is what has been said, is the State Department plans to take over that sort of thing from USAID. There was never a plan to not feed starving people. It's just to cancel these other nonsensical programs. The White House is expected to appeal the judge's decision to block. Say, you ever wonder what a mummy smells like? Sure you do. Slovenian researchers are sniffing the sarcophagi of ancient Egyptian mummies in hopes of learning more about their embalming processes. And I'm happy to say that I don't think our tax money is paying for this. In a study published yesterday in the Journal of the American Chemical Society, researchers describe that mummies smell like, well, actually kind of pleasant. They smell woody, spicy, and sometimes even sweet. And finally, in the news today, a Valentine's Day story for you. On Fiji's exclusive Turtle Island yesterday, known for honeymoons and wedding ceremonies, a judge sentenced a Memphis man to life in prison for killing his bride on their honeymoon. Bradley Dawson pleaded innocent last December, but 14 witnesses testified to observing the newlyweds arguing all weekend shortly before police found the 36-year-old Christy Chen's body. At that time, the groom was on a plane headed for Tennessee. As per Fiji law, Bradley Dawson may be eligible for parole in the year 2043. And that's today's No BS World News. This is H.L. Arledge, and for Friday, February 14th, 2025, that's the way it is.